Hello! For those who don't know me, my name's Derek Bailey and I've been a wood turner now for over 40 years and taught for the last 8 of them. Well, I've been, excuse me, I've been starting a beginner's course in wood turning, and I've done, previous to this video, I've done 2 videos for spindle turning. So I've decided to do a slight entry into beginner's bowl turning, but for that I've decided to do a candlestick, which will come on a later video. But in order to do the candlestick, I want to make a holding method that can be used on a small lathe, and it incorporates a faceplate and making a screw chuck so that we can hold a bowl prior to turning. It's a short video, but hopefully it'll be useful for the following video, which will be the making of a candlestick, which will have a separate base and a separate stem. The base will use some bowl turning techniques and the stem will use more involved spindle turning techniques. Anyway, enough waffling, let's get on. We're going to make ourselves a screw chuck so that we can grip this. It'll be a homemade screw chuck, which will come in useful for any other small bowls or any other small bases that you want to produce. And what it is, we'll use the faceplate that came with the lathe, and if you notice, I've found the centre of it from corner to corner, got the centre, then I've drawn a circle slightly bigger than that diameter, so that when we mount the faceplate in those 4 screw holes, if we look, hope you can see it, we've made the circle on the wood slightly bigger than the faceplate, so that we can line it up and centralise it by looking at the gap between the edge of the faceplate and the circle we are, and maintain that same gap throughout its circumference, and then we know we're reasonably on circle. So off camera I'll just screw that on and then we'll come back. Right, I've got it mounted to the faceplate. I've got it mounted to the faceplate. Now we're going to turn it up and we're going to put a screw, which is an old screw with a coarse thread. We're going to drill a hole through the centre here so that the screw protrudes out there. So the screw protrudes, and then we can drill a hole in the base of the mahogany and screw the mahogany to this screw chuck. So I'll take you through that stage in a moment. Right, as you can see, there's 2 screws on the back here, so if we want to put the motor in reverse, this faceplate would unscrew itself off the thread of the headstock. So there's 2 little grub screws in there which we can tighten up and stop it unscrewing itself no matter which direction we send the motor, whether it's reverse or forward. But we're okay at the moment because I'm not going to put the motor in reverse. Well, on purpose, that is. And then when we screw it up, what we do is we just give it a last tweak so it locks to a certain degree. And then, as we do before, we just leave a slight gap. Always rotate it by hand first. And then we're going to take these nasty corners off. Now we're doing a bowl where the grain is 90 degrees to the lathe bed. So we've got end grain here and here. So we don't want anything severe, and that's the reason why we're going to use a bowl gouge. And if you have a look at the end, notice it's quite a deep U shape. And because it's a nice solid piece of metal, it can withstand the intermittent cutting of the revolving square. and it can also stand quite a more substantial loads than a spindle roughing gouge, which people tend to think is stronger. It's not. This is a spindle roughing gouge that will probably come with your toolkit, your wood turning tool set. Never use this for bowls. It's only a thin piece of metal bent round, and it can't really withstand the forces to a certain extent. If you're lucky, it just bends. It shouldn't fracture, but it'll bend. But the worst thing is it takes big chips off, which won't do your work any good and won't do yourself any good. So we never ever use that for bowl turning, where the grain is in that direction and you're exposing two end grains. So we get our bowl gouge, we're revolving that. Now this is only a small lathe, so it won't take big cuts, I can tell you now. So we have to take small cuts. I'll get my mask on. We'll put the lathe down at its lowest speed to start with, make sure that it's not hitting the tool rest, everything's locked up. Well, I'll take the centre out here because it's a sharp point, we don't want to bang our elbow on it, you'll know about it if it happens. And we do same as before, metal to metal first, and gently kiss the revolving wood. Raise the handle up until you get a cut and take very slight cuts off. We can approach that end, especially with this type of turning, if we approach from one end and then revolve it, turn the tip of the tool to the other end, and we can come back from this end, so we don't split the wood. We don't spray the wood coming out. Same applies, just lean back. As you can see, it's starting to slow the lathe down because we're taking slightly bigger cuts now. I'll stop the lathe, and you can see now that we're taking quite bigger cuts now, so there's more forces involved, and this little motor will find it hard. The longer the cut, the more forces are involved, and the motor will slow down. So we'll just now we've got it running reasonably concentric, we can speed the motor up, gives it a bit more torque. Again, we just touch the bevel first, raise the handle until we get a touch. See how I'm just concentrating on that part, and then we can come back the other way and match it up. See how the chips are flowing? They're flowing in that direction because the flute is facing that direction, so the chips are coming off. If we have it that way, the chips will come up into my face. It's alright, there's nothing wrong with that, it's just that it's less comfortable. If you notice, I'm using, if you remember from the first lesson, I made a sweet spot, and that same applies to the bowl gouge as well. Now as we're going down in diameter, the gap between the tool rest and the edge of the bowl gouge is quite wide now. So we'll stop the lathe and bring it further up. The farther out you are, the more loading is, and more easy it is for the blade to tip. So the less distance we have between the edge of the tool and the tool post, the better. Again, lift the handle up. Just test the roundness, we're there now, so a slow movement across gives us a better finish. We don't come off the edge because it'll splay the, it'll feather the wood at the end. We just match that up at the end. Right. So now we're going to drill a hole for the screw that I showed you, and the screw will come through like that. Right. Now we're going to flatten that face so that it's at 90 degrees to the lathe and is perfectly parallel to the face plate that we've screwed this block to. So we're going to use the bottom edge of the flute, not the top, the bottom. And we turn our tool rest round, leave a gap there, and we're going to just use the bottom edge of the bowl gouge, and we're going to lean back like that. We put our hands over the top of the tool, put it over the top of the tool rest, and just lean back. We don't want to be out here pulling it, we want to be right up to the lathe, tool against our body, and just lean backwards and forwards. Get it roughly the bottom edge of the cutting edge of the flute. Get it roughly on centre. And then we'll just lean back. We'll use the top edge as a guide, so about 1/2 millimetre gap. If we come out like that, we'll take big cuts. But if we leave a gap that's parallel to the direction of cut of about 1 millimetre or 1/2 millimetre, we don't actually touch that on the wood, we only cut with the bottom edge. And then I lean back now. You see that means it's not running through yet. I'm hoping you can see that gap at the top. Slight pressure towards the wood. But we don't have to hold the tool with a fast grip. Just a firm grip will be quite sufficient. See how I'm just coaxing that little pimple off in the middle. Nice and slow, just lean back and come straight away. The tendency is to speed up as you come towards the end, because you're being nervous for your first time. You want to get everything over with as soon as possible. So just slow down a little bit as you come towards the edge, and then come away straight as though you're still turning the wood. Now we'll get a ruler to test for flatness. Right, we're not too bad, we've just got a slight wobble there, which means there wants to be some coming off that middle there. So we'll just concentrate on that. It doesn't matter too much if it goes in a little bit, if it's slightly concave, because the area of bowls or anything like that, the more area we have that touches the bottom of the bowl, the better. We've got a little pimple there, we'll just concentrate on that. So again, we'll just gently twist it until we take that pimple off. Or raise the handle slightly so we're cutting. Because I don't want to get in the way of the camera, and my head wants to be closer to so I can see what I'm doing. Right, that should be a nice bearing surface now for the bottom of a bowl. Just have a look at the screw, see if it's long enough. So we'll probably make a slight depression in the bottom. Once we screw the hole, we can make a countersink in the back through the hole in the faceplate. Right. So now we'll put our tailstock in. Get our Jacob's chuck. Now we want to drill a hole, the root diameter of the screw, not the overall diameter for obvious reasons, the root diameter, and the thread doesn't want to be, it wants to be exposed. So even though we'll be screwing into the wood, it will give us a more firmer base when we put araldite or a glue on it to glue it in position. So I'll just test for the root diameter of the screw. Well, actually, because of the screw, the type of screw it is, we've got a plain portion there, so it won't screw in properly. So we'll make it slightly smaller than that. We'll measure the actual, that plain part, which is 5mm. So we get a 5mm drill. Lock that in place. Take our tool post out. Then we'll drill a hole 35mm right through. Just unlock that. I've had to take the lever, locking lever off so that the camera can see what I'm doing. It's amazing how that locking lever gets in way of the view. You can let go of this now and just push it through. It saves winding it off all the time. There we go. A knockout bar. Sometimes it jams, so we just have to lock that up and just give it a little bang. Right, so now our screw should go in from the other side now. We'll just skin this up a little bit more so that we can determine how much protrusion that we want the screw to come through. It's up to us. I think if we come through about 20mm it should be ample. We can always put further discs on if the projection's too much. We can always put a secondary disc on to increase the thickness of this. I'm just going to test for flatness again, that's alright. And we'll just skim it up with a bit of abrasive. I don't want to make it too smooth because you want it to grip. It all helps the grip. There we go. We'll take that off now. Right, I'll get back to you when I've screwed it in. And there we have our screw chuck. If you want more penetration, we can always take more off this face. If we want less, we can always put a wooden washer on to decrease that length. So there we have a screw chuck.